Hey guys, what is going on? It is your boy Jkng, and today we are going to be reacting to how skill-based matchmaking has impacted Call of Duty. This has really been a hot topic in Call of Duty over the past few years, and I really do think that this video really does a good job of summing up not only what people have been talking about with skill-based matchmaking, but also an issue that it presents that not a lot of people seem to even realize. So we're going to be diving into that. Make sure to go down in the description below and show some love to the original creator. You can find the link down there. And without further ado, let's hop into it.
Do you like gaming? Do you like having fun? Do you enjoy life? Well, fuck you! Welcome to skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking was invented during the Cold War by formerly Axis scientists to extract salt from their victims to then fuel salt-based superweapons and uphold the loot box industrial complex. Just kidding, skill-based matchmaking was actually designed by a creature far more sinister, far more dangerous. The money-hungry game publisher. Skill-based.
Okay, I was actually really glad that he didn't say that the Activision CEO was the one who invented skill-based matchmaking. He might get into it later in the video, but other games have implemented skill-based matchmaking before Call of Duty did. I think Fortnite was one of the main ones who did it. I don't know what the first game was that did it. I'm sure there was a lot of them that did, but Fortnite was really the one that sort of made it popular and showed the benefits for it, you know, from the developer's point of view. And I know like Apex Legends has implemented it now in recent years. So it's not just Call of Duty that's implementing it.
Matchmaking is the latest game industry trend specifically formulated to make games less fun. What is skill-based matchmaking? Well, it's a system that discreetly examines a player's skill level and then matches that player with other players of a similar skill level. Doesn't sound so bad, right? To really understand why SBMM sucks, we have to ask ourselves, why do we play video games? Because they're fun, right? Yeah, that's one part of the reason, but I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. Every video game is just one 20-second loop repeated again and again and again. No matter how fun that loop is, doing the same thing repeatedly, well, it makes Jack a dull boy. In my humble opinion, the #1 way that games keep you hooked is progression. Human beings are hardwired to enjoy the feeling of progression, the feeling that we are getting better at something. It is built into our brain chemistry. Games are especially able to provide reliable and explicit modes of progression.
And he might get into it later, but this is really what Call of Duty is built upon. I mean, you think about what Call of Duty is, in terms of the multiplayer at least, it's literally the same game over and over and over again. And it's been that way for more or less. I mean, features have been added and taken away, but it's been like that more or less for, I mean, over a decade at this point. Call of Duty is really the main one, in my opinion, that really relies on progression because all of the games are so similar. And that's why you see sort of these developers, you know, implementing the battle pass in recent years to try to get people to keep playing, keep getting those exclusive stuff, skins and whatnot. So progression is really a huge cornerstone of Call of Duty.
It's a huge reason as to why games can be so addicting. That and jiggle physics. Video game progression is usually more associated with RPGs. You know, you have your Skyrim 100 speech memes and your RPG clothing memes, but progression is important for every type of game, even online Dorito grease simulators.
And I'd even argue that progression is more important in Call of Duty because, say you have an open world RPG, there's a lot of varied gameplay. There's quests, there's stories, there's different combat encounters and things like that. Think about Call of Duty multiplayer, like I said before, literally the same thing over and over. So the progression is super important.
To make things clearer, we have to rewind time back to the golden age of online multiplayer FPS action. We have to return back to the days of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. People like to think that MW2's progression is just the gun unlocks and the camo unlocks, but no, you got it wrong, folks. That's the fake progression. You want to know what the real progression is? Boom! Right here, ladies and gentlemen, the leaderboard. You see, before the days of SBMM, when you entered an online match, you would be pooled with players that would, by and large, have skill levels spanning across the entire breadth of the Call of Duty skill spectrum. So, your performances in matches would be reflective of your skill compared to the entire MW2 population. You would have only a little variance in your performances across different matches. Basically, if you suck, you stayed at the bottom. If you were an elite MLG gamer, you would be at the top, and for most players, you would consistently be somewhere in between. The thing that got you hooked to the game was the desire to get better. The feeling of progression would come by seeing your results gradually improve. If you genuinely put some elbow grease and hard work into developing a nice and sexy FaZe clan mentality, you would noticeably feel yourself climbing up the leaderboard in matches.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that really got me hooked on Call of Duty. My first Call of Duty was Black Ops 3 in terms of multiplayer. I played the Call of Duties before that, but we had satellite internet at our house, so that's not really conducive for online gaming. But that was one of the things, like, I just wanted to get better, you know? I kind of sucked when I first started playing, and I just wanted to get better. And, you know, I think that's really driven my love for Call of Duty. And this is really the progression that skill-based matchmaking has sort of thrown out the window. I mean, sure, they have camos now, or still unlocks and battle passes and ranks and things like that. They still have the progression on the game side of things, but not the progression of getting better on the personal side of things. That's really something they've thrown out the window, and I think that's really what's making Call of Duty so unenjoyable these past 3 years.
Believe it or not, people actually do care about how well they perform, even in social unranked playlists. Remember the Call of Duty commentary boom on YouTube in the late 2000s? Yeah, that phenomenon was literally born out of people's desire to get better at COD. I'm saying this because I was one of those people. I would watch C-Nanners and Hutch to try and analyze their hardcore skills. Beyond simply getting...
And if you're probably watching this video, you probably found this channel through me making tutorial videos on Call of Duty on how to get better. So that sort of ties in with what he's saying there.
A better KD ratio, there was another level of progression within the COD online community, the trick shot mode of progression. Oh my God. You see, once you've reached a certain level of skill, you start to care not just about what you want to do, but how you want to do it. This is stylistic progression. This is the hardest mode of progression for games to nail, but it can be by far the most satisfying. Stylistic progression relies almost exclusively on community interactions. It relies on that raw, visceral desire to one-up your mates. It is born out of... Okay, so I laid out the old days as a meta progression, the pre-skill-based bullshit paradise of MW2. Now, let's talk about the modern day matchmaking hell we live in. First of all, let's just completely get rid of the stylistic progression. You can't really pull off 360 no-scopes when 1. Players are half decent, and 2. Are all psychologically manipulated by SBMM into playing as try-hard as possible.
I mean, not just like trick shotting and things like that. You can't even just like go into Call of Duty and like have a relaxing, you know, experience. Like if you're playing with your friends and you don't want to like sweat and try so hard, you just want to maybe pull out a sniper or something if you're not very good with it. You can't really do that anymore. I mean, if you do, eventually that skill-based matchmaking will catch up and it'll put you in lower skill lobbies, but you're going to have such an unenjoyable experience even if you're trying to play at a semi-casual level. I mean, it's really, I think the impacts of skill-based matchmaking, I don't think can be understated.
Bye-bye MLG gamer montages. More importantly, skill-based matchmaking also ruins the fundamental progression ecosystem of social online multiplayer. In SBMM, you can have a wild variance in your performances across matches, simply because you are playing against people who are not only as good as you, but who have also been preconditioned by SBMM into sweating their balls off just to stay afloat.
And that's one of the things that I think this video nails that no other person really talks about. It's not just that you're getting put with people who are equal skill level to you, but you also have been pretty much conditioned on these games to expect that you are going to be put against an absolute the sweatiest lobby, you know, at your skill level, of course. But you're going to get put against other people like that, and then they're going to have the same mentality that they're going into it thinking that it's going to be a sweaty lobby, and all it does is just cause people to literally try their hardest. And honestly, I'll talk about it a little bit later in the video maybe, but Isn't that really counterintuitive to what skill-based matchmaking is? I mean, this whole thing is protecting the casual players, but at the end of the day, if you can't play casually, then are we really doing that anymore?
Not feeling super in the zone? Fuck you, minus 10 KD. Butt chugged a 6-pack of Red Bull? Congratulations, plus 12 KD. With this wild variance, you have no clue how good you actually are. Experientially, it is basically impossible to tell if you are getting better. If you have a run of great games, congrats, you are now in a higher skill bracket. Welcome to the bottom of the leaderboard. It's frustrating, it's sweaty, and most importantly, it de-incentivizes long-term commitment.
And it's not, I mean, when you talk about the skill-based matchmaking, he mentions a little bit, but it just widely varies from game to game. I mean, they did sort of one of the studies that was done when skill-based matchmaking was first implemented. I think it was either taking into account your last 5 games or your last 10 games. And I mean, if you had like a couple bad games, that's going to throw it off. If you had a couple good games, that's really going to throw it off. I mean, you're getting put on one game, or the first game, you're going to get put in the highest skill bracket or the lowest skill bracket. And then by the 10th game, you're going to be completely opposite, maybe. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, you look at sort of skill-based matchmaking and ranked playlists, that's like a consistent level up, or you're consistently leveling down. It's more of a consistent experience. This is just throwing you pretty much like just all over the place based on your last 10 games or last 5 games performance.
I believe that the feeling of steadily getting better at and exploring the mechanics of a game's multiplayer is the quintessential social unranked experience. SBMM isn't this inherently terrible thing, but when people refer to it, they refer to its current iteration, where SBMM is jacked up to 1000% and just leads to this sweaty hell where after a while, you just kinda want to stop. You can only handle it in tiny little bursts because it kills that really important feeling of progression. Video game developers realized way back during the birth of online multiplayer that some players would want competitive sweaty experiences, so they invented something called ranked playlists. You want to know the difference between SBMM and ranked playlists? Well, you know how matchmaking algorithms calculate your skill level? In ranked playlists, the game tells you that skill level. That's it. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the huge thing. I mean, for people playing casually, they don't want to deal with skill levels, and on top of that, it's not even showing to you, probably because it's just widely varying from game to game. And that's one of the huge things about sort of with the ranked playlist and the casual playlist and progression overall. There really isn't that progression anymore that you had sort of with ranked playlist skill-based matchmaking, because you knew your rank and you knew sort of how you were performing in that rank. And if you were performing well, you would rank up, and you continue ranking up as you performed well. But in this current iteration of skill-based matchmaking, you play well for one game. The next game, you're in a huge, like a massive jump in skill bracket. I mean, it just completely throws off, and then all of a sudden you're playing bad, and you're like, what the heck? What happened? And you know, you start thinking, well, am I actually any good, or what? It completely throws off the progression that was really present in ranked playlists, and I don't know why Call of Duty really doesn't have that anymore. I mean, if we do have a ranked playlist, it comes 5 months after the game releases. By that time, there's a new game around the corner.
This one tiny change not only fixes, but in fact re-emphasizes the meta progression that SBMM ruins. It's really that simple, folks. You want to know something even wackier? Publishers and developers know that SBMM sucks. In Call of Duty's case, both Activision and its developers deny or downplay the existence of SBMM, despite multiple people empirically proving its implementation.
I mean, not even that, but they had an entire website where you could go and you could see what sort of skill brackets you were in. I think it was just for Warzone, maybe. I mean, it was there, but I think that's been shut down now. But I mean, skill-based matchmaking is present in Call of Duties. I don't know how you could argue it at this point.
Shady stuff. Why did SBMM get implemented in the first place? Money. It's always money. You see, a little thing called Fortnite Battle Royale came along and stole the uber casuals, aka children, away from former casual kings like Call of Duty. I honestly think that publishers saw that cosmetic buying children were leaving their casual shooters and were just like, fuck it, Let's do anything and everything to get the children back. I personally do believe the theory that SBMM was implemented to ensure that the worst players, aka children, would stay in their dual analog challenged 0.1 KD skill lobbies.
I mean, I don't even think it's a theory. I think that's really the only possible explanation. I mean, look at who skill-based matchmaking benefits. It really doesn't even benefit like the middle skilled players. I mean, obviously it doesn't benefit high skilled players. It really benefits the low skilled players in Call of Duty. That's really your casual audience. It's usually younger kids. And then tie that in with how the new monetization is going, and when it was implemented in Modern Warfare, tie that in with how it's similar to Fortnite, right? With the skins, the battle pass, the skin packs, and things like that. Those sort of progression and monetization, changes in Modern Warfare. Guess when skill-based matchmaking was implemented in Modern Warfare. I mean, we could do an entire video on how Fortnite has really impacted Call of Duty. In terms of, how they're structuring their games now, and really Fortnite doing it for the entire industry when it comes to multiplayer games. But really, this is just sort of Call of Duty's way of protecting the low skill players, keeping them on the game so they spend money in the store, and that's obviously going to be a store that has worked in the past with Fortnite.
In some kind of dystopian eternal Tsukuyomi fever dream where no one's feelings get hurt and no one actually gets better at the game.
And let me just say, I've never been in a Cold War lobby like this where, an enemy is just runs right by you and doesn't even see you. That'd be great to get in a lobby like that.
But kids still keep buying dumbass anime skins. Ironically, I think these publishers / developers are still actually hurting themselves in the long run. The skill spectrum middle class get hurt the most by SBMM, and I know a lot of these kind of gamers who are now specifically avoiding games that have skill-based matchmaking. Also, all these 0.1 KD kiddies won't stay committed to these online games because SBMM ironically encourages them not to. Talk about an L.
Obviously a great video, but that was a huge point at the end there. You talk about how skill-based matchmaking is pretty much only benefiting low-skilled players. But then what is going to keep those low-skilled players playing your game? Sure, they're having a good time, being at sort of the lower ranks and not having high-skilled players come in and pub stomp. But is there going to be progression there that is going to keep them on the game? Or are you really just counting on the store and the battle pass and the game progression keeping them there? I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it is going to be interesting to see in the future years what Call of Duty's revenue looks like. I know they've had a huge increase post Modern Warfare when it comes to revenue, and that's because of the new monetization model. But see if that drops, because maybe these players are now leaving the game because there's no progression system on a personal level of actually getting better at the game. And then the middle skilled players and the high skilled players, they're not really having fun on the game at all. So anyway, guys, that is today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like if you did, and let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are on skill-based matchmaking and what we should react to next. And I'll see you guys in the next one.